Alright, so I know it's a little late, but hey, I had this idea rolling around in my head, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's do this story. Like, let's do this as a fun little story to do. That was a redundant sentence now, wasn't it? I'm tired, I'm recovering from COVID, shut up. Anyway, so as you can see from the title, yes, this is a crossover between this is basically a fanfiction idea of a crossover between He-Man and the Owl House. So He-Man and Owl House. So let's get into it. So the story is that what has happened is that basically there was a break-in within the halls of the Castle of Eternia. King Randor and his wife were attacked, and the queen was left wounded in the assault. Now, it's interesting to note that these unknown assailants came out of nowhere, and the thing is like they weren't like working for Skeletor or anyone. Like even Skeletor like denies that he was. Skeletor has total deniability that he or his minions had attacked the castle. But Skeletor basically says, now it is interesting to note, I can do a better Skeletor, He-Man, it is interesting to note that I have heard things. I can do a better Skeletor, just give me, I'm tired. I'm recovering from COVID, but yeah. So Skeletor basically tells them, the long and short of it is that Skeletor says that he's heard rumors of someone, a group from another world, who put the hit out on the Queen, and he's like, "I'll be happy to show you the way. Like, I'll be happy to show you." And they're like, "Nah, we got it. Just tell us how to get there." So Skeletor basically tells them that they came from the Boiling Isles. It was wild witches. It was wild witches who, and he basically talks up the Boiling Isles like it's some kind of Wild West, and like Emperor Bello, like he's heard rumors of this Emperor Bellos who wants to bring order to all that, and Skeletor goes, "Yeah, as you know, I'm not all about order and whatnot, and good and whatnot, but I'm worried." Like he basically says, "I'm not going to stop you from going because these wild witches might be a problem for me, so I'll help you get there." But they actually go for, He-Man goes, on the alternative, I know exactly where to go. So He-Man and the other Masters of the Universe, a good number of them, go to the Boiling Isles thanks to the power of Castle Grayskull, which is a nexus point for the multiverse. And the sorceress basically says, like, I've heard stories of these wild witches and wild magic of the Boiling Isles, but I never thought they'd be violent. And He-Man, who's already like, I'm gonna find out who did this, and I'm gonna make them pay, because he's all about like getting revenge for the harm that was done to his mother. So He-Man and the Masters of the Universe travel to the Boiling Isles, and instantly it's a culture shock, to say the least. It is a massive, like, holy shit, this is not what we expected, because there's demons everywhere, and they kind of stick out. Well, except for Orko. Orko actually sticks in pretty good. Like, he already looks demonic-like, so Orko is like, oh, well, I guess I could just float around, I guess. Well, everyone else has to, like, look in costume, like, look different. And, however, if you aren't picking up on this is kind of planned by Skeletor. Skeletor actually was working with Bellos. He's actually he's trying to start a war between the Boiling Isles and Eternia. Now, why would he do that? A open war between the Boiling Isles and Eternia and have a war with Bellos? Or try to, even though Bellos is working for him? Simple. Bellos wants an excuse to destroy the magic of another world, and there is, of course, something in the world of Eternia that he wants. He wants the power of Castle Grayskull too, and he used a spell that he learned from the Collector to harness the power to open a doorway, a message, and reach out to Skeletor. and Belos and Skeletor work together to formulate this plan so Belos could use the power of Castle Grayskull as well, and he could also, give an excuse to rally more support for him throughout the Boiling Isles and unleash a open attack on the people of Eternia as well. But he understands that there's a difference between an isle between the Boiling Isles and an entire planet. There's a difference between fighting an open war there. That's why he's so keen on getting to Castle Grayskull, and in his mind, he'll use it to destroy all magic throughout the multiverse. Because his whole thing is, why would I destroy, witch magic throughout just one or two worlds when I can use it to destroy all worlds? Now, he hasn't told that part to Skeletor yet, but he's just basically says, I want the power of Castle Grayskull, and Skeletor goes, oh, me too! Team up! So, yeah. Now, obviously, Skeletor had another reason as to why, pointing them in the Masters of the Universe on the Boiling Isles. A, Belos is waiting for them already. Like, he already told them, I'll send them a few of your guys, maybe you can take out He-Man, who knows. And B, now half the Masters of the Universe are on the Boiling Isles and away from Castle Grayskull. They've divided their forces. It's a lot easier. Now, at this point, we get to the introduction of Ida. We get the Ida and the rest of the Owl House in the story. Because it's interesting to note as to why they're here is because they more or less set it up that Ida looked like the one who attacked the castle and wounded Adam's mom. And of course, He-Man fights Ida, and she's not at full power. She goes Harpy Ida to fight him, but he's the most powerful being he's the mightiest being in the universe, and has to be brought to his senses by Luz. And then they kind of put it like at this point, after Luz brings sense to him, after her and Ida team up to fight He-Man, and the rest of the others like Gus and Amity and Willow, and to an extent Hunter, all of them team up to take on the Masters of the fight, or challenge the Masters of the Universe. It isn't until then that Luz goes, wait a minute, something's really screwy here. And at this point, He-Man immediately goes, son of a bitch, Skeletor. And he's like, I should have, like, in his emotional state, like, trying to avenge his mother, like, get back for his mother. He was so caught up in that he basically didn't think about it. He didn't think about, like, Skeletor may be lying or allied with this Belos guy. And now, Belos, along with his coven heads, have arrived on Eternia to take Castle Grayskull and assist in doing so. So, by then the Sorceress managed to bring everyone back, and the Owl House gang goes along too, and something amazing happens through this. An amazing change happens in that Ida can use magic, because the Eternian magic is way different than Boiling Isle magic, so she can actually harness it in her Harpy form. And not only that, the kids' magic is amplified, because apparently the magic of Eternia, they more or less like the very essence of the magic of Eternia amplifies the magic of those from the Boiling Isles. It's just like a magic amplifier, like the very air amplifies it. That's how much magic is in Eternia. Of course, this does amplify the Coven heads and Belos as well, but they now have the power of the mightiest hero in the universe, and the full power of the Masters of the Universe together. So He-Man and Luz confront Bellows, who then reveals, I'm going to destroy magic throughout the multiverse. You know, the power of witchcraft and magic will end by my hand. And Skeletor's like, you motherfucker! At this point, Bellows is just fighting Skeletor and He-Man and Luz. Like, he's fighting all three of them. And this moment is when Luz the sword is knocked out of He-Man's hands, and Luz takes it and says, I have the power, and we get She Lose. That sounded a lot better in my head. But Luz uses it to just plunge the sword of Grayskull through Bellows' chest, and he's so wounded he has to limp back to the Boiling Isles. But not before Skeletor blows off one of his arms. He's like, have fun growing that back, asshole. And Skeletor and his minions depart, whereas Bellows and his coven, slink back to the Boiling Isles. Luz is like, I got to look hot. That was amazing. I got to look awesome. And I wanted to also have this moment where she's holding the sword over her shoulder and just looking cool with all the muscles and stuff. And Amity's like, I have a. It's like at that moment she realized I have a fetish for strong women. She's like, oh no, she's hotter. But Luz gives back the sword back to Adam, and the sorceress returns everyone back to the Boiling Isles. So there you go. That is pretty much my He-Man Owl House crossover for you guys. You guys tell me in the comments below. What'd you think of it? Like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. There's also some other fun stuff I thought would be kind of little character moments would be fun, like Orko and King. That would be... I'd love to see those two interact. If anything else, if this is a real thing, I would love to see Orko and King interact the most. So, yeah. Anyway, so once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.